I can tell you that every pipe hitter I spoke with did not disagree with me when I said, if that bullet were 2 inches to the right, of course he's dead, and that's a horrible thing, but that is a Franz Ferdinand type event. Approximately 27 hours ago, we all know what happened. There was an attempt on the former president's life, and someone who, I'll get to this in a minute, is, I think, even before last night, but definitely after last night, the presumptive future president after the election on November 5th. And it's one of those events that you'll never forget where you were, whether you love them, hate them, or everywhere in between. It was historic in every way, in not good ways, but I want to start off by saying I am unbelievably grateful that President Trump was not killed. I am sickened and saddened that Corey Comparatori, I believe that's how you say his name. I apologize if I got that wrong, but I'm saddened that he was killed in front of his wife and daughter. Political violence, we should not have to fucking say this, but political violence of any form is disgusting, and the lowest form, I mean, it's one of the lowest forms of human violence throughout human history. There's never a time where it was like, oh, that was a good one. I mean, I guess if you took out a dictator or something, but that's a separate story. To see innocent people killed at a rally supporting someone that they want to vote for is heartbreaking. So my heart goes out to Corey and his family. And I also want to say that I am hoping that over the next 100 days, and I'm sure all of you out there, regardless of political opinion, will agree with this. I am hoping that over the next 100 days, we do not see any more violence on either side. I will say, while I have been highly critical of Joe Biden's candidacy for obvious reasons, we'll talk about that in this live, I appreciated the words in his press conference last night. To me, I mean, we shouldn't have to say this, but referring to Donald by his first name in a personal way is something we haven't seen him do. He usually says that guy or the other guy. And there was a little bit of a human interaction there. I would imagine, behind the scenes, they are recognizing the inevitable here. But processing this is going to take a long time. And what I'm going to talk about tonight is very raw. And I'm sure some of my opinions will move as we get more information and things like that. And if you can see the bags under my eyes, I am exhausted. I was up all night, as I'm sure many of you were. It's a historical moment, and we're going to get to it. But I had a chance to speak to every pipe hitter I know, all the ones you're thinking of in your head, I spoke with on the phone, with the exception of Remy Adeleke, who I kind of went back and forth with on social posts, but he had some pretty amazing thoughts. Navy SEAL Remy Adeleke from episodes 157 and 158. But let's start it at the beginning here. I want to have Twitter open as well, because there's information coming in as we're doing this. But when I think of profound events in my life, one of my first memories, and it's a visceral memory, was 9/11. And I was a very little kid, but I remember everything about that day. I remember everything that I could process as a young child of the aftermath. And of course, I've studied the aftermath history. We recently had a legend, Danny Hall, in here, who you can probably take away was involved in that aftermath. I'll leave that there. There may be future episodes on that, but some of that has to get cleared through intelligence. And obviously, that was a crazy time in American history, and it was really a crux point in society. But it's one of those things where you remember exactly where you were the moment you found out. You can I could put myself in my classroom right there with my teacher putting us in a circle, sitting us down, other teachers in the hallway calling their family who's in New York and processing, what had just happened here. And obviously 3,000 Americans were killed that night. That is certainly worse than one American being killed, but the seminal event that is a presidency, or a former president in this case, and presumptive president at this point, being almost gunned down, is unfathomable. And not just in the interest of being, from a human standpoint, extremely grateful that President Trump is safe and was not killed, but beyond that, looking at not just America, but the world, I can tell you that every pipe hitter I spoke with did not disagree with me when I said, if that bullet were 2 inches to the right, of course he's dead and that's a horrible thing, but that is a Franz Ferdinand type event. That is, I see people talk about civil war and all this stuff. That would be the least of your problems. This is the leader, presumptive leader of the free world, a former president in a highly contested race being gunned down. There are 2 wars going on around the world right now with all kinds of fucking issues and money going from all over the place into those 2 things. That is, I don't know what it would look like, but it is a World War III type event. There is no doubt about that. Take that to the bank. So we are very, very fucking lucky that that did not happen. Now, one of the things that's really cool about the aftermath of something like this, I want to be careful how I say that, don't twist my words, is you get to see how good some of your guys are in breaking down the analysis. And I want to share this real quickly as a side point. I got a call from Joe Ted-Eye about 5 minutes into the news coming out. So, the shots, it was less than 5 minutes. So we were just seeing the footage. They were just reporting it. And for those who don't remember, Joe Ted-Eye was in episode 149, 185, or 186, and 187. He is a former Special Forces CIA ground branch commando. His job was to go capture or kill on behalf of the CIA. He is about as legit as they come. And Joe Ted-Eye broke down to a T, when we knew nothing, exactly how far the shots were coming from, where they were coming from, a roof, that it was a single shooter in his opinion, and that it was most likely an AR-15 type weapon, which I wish I had recorded that phone call, because I don't know if it was a half hour later or something where we first got the video and the first information of the map, but you want to talk about being spot the fuck on. Holy shit. So I was on and off the phone with him. He is also a guy, he has been to a Trump rally before. And as someone who's from that world, he is constantly assessing things around him. And he was very confused at how things went down at this rally, because it was a different experience than what he had seen. I also had a chance to speak to Dale Comstock, who has a similar resume to Joe that is actually even longer. He's like Joe's best friend. Dale was also CIA ground branch. He is now essentially like the most well-known mercenary in the world after a 35-year career in the career in the military, in the Special Forces. One of his many jobs that he is taking on, that he has taken on, is training the Secret Service. And he had a lot to say about that and about the breakdown in protocols here. Remy Adeleke is one guy I haven't spoken to on the phone, Navy SEAL, as I said, but I went back and forth on social posts with him. He also broke this down. This is a guy who spent, I believe, 12 years in the Navy SEALs, much of it overseas. He talked about how they would set, I'm trying to remember the exact footage. I don't want to misquote him, so correct me in the comments if he had a different footage on it, but I think he said it was like up to 2,000 feet perimeters for bullshit type stuff, like forget a president or a senator or something like that. When they were running security over in Yemen and Saudi Arabia and these kinds of places, those are the types of perimeters they took into account. So when you look at the fact that the Secret Service allegedly left this perimeter outside of 400 feet, which is not far, to local law enforcement to handle. I don't care if local law enforcement dropped the ball. You're the fucking Secret Service. Your job is to secure the perimeter. That's what my tax money goes to, and I will happily pay my tax money to that, with the expectation that you don't fuck that up. Which leads me to another point. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.